Welcome back, everybody, to the Ninja's Way podcast. I am your host, Allie Johnson. I am the CEO of Ninja Gym Academy, which is a program that helps parents start ninja gyms in their local community. And today I am joined by Reese. He is the ninja department leader and the director of the Queen City Ninja program. He's also the force behind the Ninja Connect event that's upcoming. Reese, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm just excited to be here and talk about Ninja. I could do that all day.
Let's give people a little bit of a backstory. You told me that you started out as a preschool gymnastic coach and then shifted into building ninja curriculum for Queen City Ninjas. Take us back to the very beginning. It sounds like you guys got started with ninja in 2020. And I know there's a lot of listeners out there that have these kind of hybrid programs where they're like half gymnastics, half ninja. So tell me a little bit about how that got into the Kids First Sports Center facility.
Yeah, so the journey for us into Ninja started back in really in 2016. We heard about it. I think that's when a lot of gyms were looking into it. The show was hitting kind of record highs at that point, and we wanted to know more about it. So we traveled across the country and looked at other gyms, and we realized that just Ninja's a great fit for what we do here, which is to do great things for kids and to give them the tools to be great adults. So we started, like you said, a little hybrid style program in 2019,
Okay.
and we pivoted from that really quickly. We realized if we were going to do it, it had to be all out. We allocated more square footage. We had professional rigs from DGS put in, and we just put a lot of intentionality behind it. And in 2019, we just missed the intentionality component. We started in 2020. I was still teaching preschool gymnastics at that point. The more I started spending time over in Ninja, the more I realized how great of an opportunity it provides for all athletes, regardless of skill level. And that's the biggest change that I advocate for between gymnastics and Ninja, where gymnastics, it is a specific type of athlete and a specific type of skills, and you get judged based on how pretty you are. And in Ninja, it's just clear the obstacle. You can dive on your face. And I was just watching one of the NSC comps, and even the post they put up said, it doesn't matter how you clear the course, it's just clear the course. And that really spoke to me as an athlete who I wasn't a gymnast. I wasn't very graceful moving between bars, and Ninja really spoke to me. So I started really falling in love with the sport pretty quickly. There wasn't a set department leader at the time, so I just took on the role of training the coaches. We were fortunate enough to have the level one certification from World Ninja Sport. And I just saw that you had Justin on, so he's great. He certified me and two other people in our company. And I took his knowledge that he gave me and gave it to the staff at the time, which was me and four other coaches, and built the lesson plans, built the schedule. And then by December of 2020, really stepped in as the department leader role. And since then, it's just been a great learning opportunity. I think that's what I really enjoy about it.
Yeah, and I'd love to back up just a moment because you had said something that I think a lot of facilities currently experience, which is okay, you're interested in Ninja, you started the hybrid bolt-on, and you said that you quickly pivoted from that. And this is something that I've helped a lot of people start ninja programs in martial art facilities, CrossFit facilities, gymnastics, and these different modalities, trying to add in and get on the hype of what ninja can provide to their facility, but it can quickly become this like redheaded stepchild where they don't really have the full programming or they're not really going all the way in. They don't have as much square footage. Would you mind speaking to what was the pivot and what early warning signs were like, okay, we needed to go all in and not just halfway?
Yeah, and it's easy for me to say, oh, just allocate more square footage, get professional rigging and stuff like that. But that really is surface level. That's what we chose to do. But deeper under that, it was just intentionality. We had a lot of ninja gyms and a lot of gymnastics facilities start their ninja program like this, where it's gymnastics coaches and they say, okay, here's a group of boys, go teach them how to do ninja. And there's no structure, there's no lesson plans, there's no training, and there's just no expectations or standards. We pivoted in the sense that we had specific coaches. You got hired in the ninja program to teach ninja. You weren't a gymnastics coach, or maybe you were, but you had an interest in ninja, and we gave you the tools to teach great ninja classes. We just added that mode of intentionality to it, and that was something that we realized was missing in 2019 when our coaches and the kids just started feeling burnt out on the equipment. It was how many times can we do monkey bars in different ways? And it was just, it got repetitive. And then the boys started leaving. And the whole purpose of us starting a ninja program was to retain those rec boys.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't working. So we started to see a lack of excitement,
Mm.
and that caused us to shift a little bit.
Yeah, and so that shift of adding more structure, a progression system, having levels, having a process for kids to be able to go through, as well as like staff to be able to train, can make such a massive difference in the actual result of what these kids are getting and how much the program grows. And so it sounds like Queen City Ninja has gone from a handful of students in 2020 to about 500 now, which is awesome. So what would you attribute that growth to?
Early on, I think the growth definitely came from just a sense of progression and lesson plans for the families. And then once we hit our cycle, we started to plateau and we'd go down and up and have that continuous enrollment cycle. We've seen Actually, this is my little brag for today. We just had our highest July ever, and June and July have been some of our biggest growth months this year, which is really unheard of because it's
Yeah,
summer.
that's
Enrollment tends to dip in the summer. And I've told all the coaches it's them. The coaches we have on the floor and the training they have, the expertise and the connections they form with the families are the reason that we're hitting these numbers. And you can build great courses, you can have super exciting gyms and fun colors and progression systems that are fun to look at with headbands and shirts and stuff. But if the coaches don't know how to teach great classes, then families are going to be quick to pick up on that.
Yeah, and you said something in there that is, if the coaches are not specifically trained on how to connect, right? It's like this is completely outside of ninja or any modality. How are we establishing a relationship with a kid when we're on the floor and actually building a relationship-based business, which is connecting with these kids or these families that are in front of them? So, is there anything that you guys do specifically in the way that you train people or the resources that you provide to them around them learning how to connect?
Short answer is yes. There's a lot of specific things that we do that, from talking with other gym owners, is just unique to us. Part of your hiring process is you sit down with our company president and you go through the history of the handshake and you learn how to shake people's hands and what a proper handshake looks like and how to introduce yourself. And that plays a part in your role as a coach, where I talk about the importance of introducing yourself to all the parents and shaking their hands and having that connection point, because just saying hi and introducing yourself is fine, but it
Mm.
doesn't, it releases different biochemicals and just builds a different relationship. So that's an easy one that we started with.
Yeah.
I take all of our coaches through child developmental stages, and I teach them not just physically what kids are capable of, but where their brain is in their development. Because if you talk to a 12-year-old the same way you talk to a 6-year-old or vice versa, you're going to get way different results.
Sure.
So being able to connect with those kids based on where they are in their development, not necessarily where you want them to be.
Sure. And it's sometimes as simple as that, right? It's like, how good
Yeah.
is the handshake and the eye contact when you meet somebody? All those little things matter. And so I love that's part of your guys' hiring process. Speaking of connecting, let's talk about Ninja Connect. And Ninja Connect is something that I'm super excited about personally. But I love for you to give people just the backstory of what Ninja Connect is and why should they be excited about it too.
Yeah, so the backstory on that is I've grown up fortunate enough to attend Jeff Metzger's business boot camp and listen to him talk, and he's been a personal role model of mine. And I've also been fortunate enough to go out west and see Lynn Ledford's professional business summit. And just the wide depth of knowledge and expertise that people were able to provide and that I walked away from, even if it was listening to a swim franchise talk about how they scope out locations for their next swim school. Like that still applies to me and the standards that we have in our Ninja program. So I've always felt that Ninja was missing out a little bit on the educational component. I've talked to a lot of gym owners and they all share some similar frustrations. They'll hear me talk about something that I think is fairly obvious sometimes,
Sure.
and they're like, "Oh, I've never thought of it that way." And I have the same feeling when I talk to other gym owners. I'm like, "Oh, we've never even considered that."
Yeah.
And there's never been a ninja conference before, and there's never been an educational component. There's been attempts at gathering ninja gyms or ninja celebrities together, but never just a, "Hey, let's sit down and share information."
Yeah.
And I think it's much needed in the sport just to continue to grow.
Sure, absolutely. And ninja's still such a budding small industry as it is that this educational piece is something that ha absolutely has been missing for a long time. It's been part of my own personal mission to try to bring some more of that to the forefront of the industry to help gym owners, the people that don't know anything about ninja or don't know anything about business, to have some type of resources to get started with and some good baseline information on how they can build a profitable business. What do you feel like makes Ninja Connect different from other events in the industry?
I think it's different because I really tried to find a group of presenters who are passionate about their topics and have a wide depth of knowledge. You mentioned it's a great way to figure out where to start in the industry, but I also think it's a great way to figure out where to go with your current business. Or my goal is I have some people like Justin or Jen Miller from FINA who are attending and they don't own a business or they don't own a ninja gym. They just have their own business that's related to the industry. And I'd love for them to walk away with something that they can take to their own business. So while it is a great place to start if you're looking at starting a ninja gym, it's also just a great place to hear what other people are doing. And maybe you walk away thinking, oh, we do it differently and it works for us, and that's great. And it reaffirms that you're doing something right. Or you're like, oh, I've never thought about it. You're presenting about starting a competitive team.
Yeah.
And I want to sit in on that because I had to start the competitive team up from scratch. And I have no clue if I want to see how you do it and compare and contrast our notes that way. While it is an educational conference, I think the networking and the just the note sharing, I think is something that's really big. And that goes into the industry as a whole. I think some gyms and businesses are really caught up on holding on to all their secrets, but that's going to prevent the sport from growing.
Absolutely. Tell me, who is the ideal person who should be going to Ninja Connect?
Anyone who has a passion for the sport and ninja and wants to grow and progress their own knowledge. It'd be easy for me to say brand new gym owners, but it's really just I have Danny from DeVos who's been doing it for quite a long time. He's been coaching, I think, longer than me, and he's going to talk about preschool ninja. I would love to hear what he has to say about preschool ninja because that's something we haven't ventured down yet. Just people who want to continuously learn and grow in the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what kind of specific problems as an industry are you hoping that this conference solves or at least brings to light for people?
That was actually a big drive for the name. That's something I haven't talked about a whole lot, but the whole reason we called it Connect is to just connect people in the industry. There's people that don't know that DGS can provide ninja solutions or that you I honestly didn't know much about your business. And the more I've learned about it, the more I'm like, yeah, let's bring Allie in because she's awesome. But also just connecting gym owners together. One of the biggest things you get from any sort of conference or convention is learning how other people do things, but then having that continuous touch point with them and being able to just email them or call them and say, hey, we do it this way. How would you do it? And learn that way as well.
If you guys haven't seen, recently released the Ninja Roundtable about a week ago now, and that was a big piece of discussion that came out of it, that it was like more gym owners need to talk to one another and have conversation with one another. And so this might be an awesome spot for you to come in person, meet some friends and learn some things, and then also be able to walk away with a network and a connection that you can continuously lean on and be helped by with problems that you're going to experience in the future. Why don't you tell me a little bit about who's going to be there, what do the topics look like, and what kind of information is being covered?
Yeah, we have Justin Conway from World Ninja Sport, Steve Cook, who's a business consultant. We have a pretty good relationship with him, and he's been really great for Jeff's business boot camp from Paradigm Playbook coming. Sam, but she's a specialist over at iClass Pro, which is an attendance and enrollment software. And that the purpose behind that is I've seen a lot of different attendance softwares used at gyms, and some are really great, and then some are not so great. And I think it's important to know what your numbers look like. Yourself coming out to talk about life skills for Ninja, which I'm super excited to hear, and then creating a successful team program. Danny DeVoe's talking about preschool Ninja, and then we have Jack from DGS coming to speak about efficient gym design and potentially course design for classes and competitions. So a pretty wide range of presenters.
Yeah. And a wide range of topics too. Everything from the KPIs of the business, the classes, the competitive teams, the tiny little kids, and the software to track it on the back end. So sounds like it's going to be an action-packed weekend. When is this happening?
August 22nd to the 24th. And the 24th is an optional date. That's when Justin's doing his level 1 certification. By the way, he's offering that completely free, which is
Yeah.
insane.
And the moment that I heard some whispers about this event, I was like, I have to reach out to these guys because the idea of a ninja conference has been something that's been on my heart for a while with the work that I do and the people that I help. And so the moment that this came across my desk, I was like, oh my gosh, we need to be there. So I will also be there speaking on, like you said, life skills and competitive ninja teams. So definitely excited. How can people learn more about this event?
We have our website. So if you go to kidsfirstsports.com/ninja-connect, I am more than happy to share information about it. So if anyone reaches out to me, or I'm sure if they reach out to you, you could direct them my way. You mentioned something earlier that ninja programs turn into the redheaded stepchild. I think as a whole industry, we're still not mainstream. So as a gym club, either whether you're a standalone ninja gym or a program director, or you started a ninja program, or something related to ninja, it can be easy to feel a little bit like you're on an island. So, just like you were saying, any way to connect to other gyms, I think, is a fantastic opportunity.
There are a couple of resources out there. One of my favorite things is our Ninja Network Facebook group. This is a community that I run, so we'll make sure to tag that in the caption above so that you guys can check that out. But there are also parent Facebook groups. There are Ninja Gym owner groups. There are groups that are specific to specific leagues that you compete in. So these communities are out there. They're just hard to find, right? You have to do a little bit of digging to find them. I'd love to chat a little bit further what your role is and what are the things that you're doing in the gym or maybe outside of actually being on the gym floor that you feel like is really pushing forwards Queen City Ninja?
Yeah, and I was gonna maybe talk about it when I was giving my little history of Queen City Ninja.
Yeah.
I think I have a unique journey into ninja because I wasn't trying to get on the show. I never competed in a lot of leagues until I started coaching, and I got forced by my students to compete in competitions.
Yeah, they're
Uh,
good motivators, huh?
but honestly, I was very on the outside looking in for Ninja for a while. When I took over as department leader, one thing that really stood out to me was just the fact that Ninja and really leading is all about building connections and inspiring others. And I had to do a lot of inwards looking into how I communicate and how I convey myself and present information to people. One thing I've tried really hard to do this year for the program that I think it's paid off a lot is take care of the coaches that I have and continue to develop them educationally. And that's played a part in Ninja Connect. I'm really focused on just connecting with people and just trying to inspire others, help the sport as a whole grow.
You run business analytics for the program. And I brought this up specifically because I feel like this is a big missing piece, as much as it is connection, being on the floor, pouring into your coaches, having good curriculum. There's a lot of these things, but there also has to be somebody with their eyes on the numbers, right? Because the path is math. And many times we can feel a particular way about our business or our program and how it's going, and then that doesn't actually line up with the reality, right? What are the numbers actually telling us? I'd love for you to speak on, did you
Yeah.
just start out being a spreadsheets guy, or was this something that you had to like get good at?
I love numbers. I'm one of those people that loves math. I would teach myself math. I buy math textbooks all the time. And I just love analyzing patterns and finding the most efficient way to get an outcome that I want. So I started looking at it really started, we thought we were doing really well. We had that gut feeling of like, our trial conversion rate's awesome. I was like, okay, but we don't have any numbers behind it. So then we started looking and we're like, okay, our trial conversion rate's not that great. So how
Sure.
can we fix it? And that led into creating systems and all the on the floor stuff. And as soon as we're able to start tracking it got better because we were able to fix the problems. And that took me down a whole rabbit hole of looking at things like monthly retention rates and exit rates. If the 5-year-old in our program moves on to the 6-year-old class, let's say, but then drops afterwards, consistently across the board, then we need to reanalyze our 6-year-old curriculum because there might be weaknesses there. So the numbers can give very specific details. And I've started to really dig into monthly retention reports, exit rates, trial conversion rates, and just look for patterns.
No, absolutely. Good news is that you have a pipeline and it's rather predictable. The bad news is that it's always going to be bursting at one point of that pipeline or another. And as soon as you fix it, another burst is going to happen, right?
Yep.
But it's really hard for gym owners to wear all the hats and do all of the things and then sit down and look at their spreadsheet at the end of the day. But if you can learn to prioritize this as a part of your facility, this is something that can actually allow you to better allocate your time and your energy on like where exactly does it need to go? Because we only have so many hours in the day and we want to identify like where is the pipe bursting? How can we fix it? And then ideally monitoring that of, oh, it's this number's staying high or staying low. And so I love that you already talked about some of those specific KPIs that you're looking at. Is this something that every program lead or director is looking at right now in your facility?
I'm the one that runs all the numbers and then I communicate it to the other department leaders. So if
Okay.
I had a separate role, it's essentially a different project that I'm working on. Basically, I summarize the numbers for the other department leaders to read and then they make the decisions for their staffing. But you brought up a good point there. I think as a department leader or as a gym owner, you're always worried about staffing. Either you're overstaffed or you never have enough coaches. But if you look at the enrollment numbers, you can almost predict your cycle and then say, okay, we peak in January, February, March. So let's hire in August and September so that we can train in October and November
Yeah.
and in December a little bit, and then have great coaches for our peak months.
Yeah.
So I completely agree. If you can either find someone to summarize the numbers, or if you have that specific trait like me, or you just willpower through it and you have to like numbers because that's the nature of the beast,
Yeah.
it can help save time down the road and a lot of stress where I had a couple staff problems early on that caused a lot of stress for me and that kind of shook me a little bit. Whereas, is this really something I'm cut out to do? But now it's to the point where I have everything down in a system and I know, okay, it's August, so I need to have this number of coaches for these classes because they're going to grow at this rate.
Yeah.
And I can plan their training after that. And then the training gets really easy. It's a whole domino effect.
Sure. I'm just curious, how often do you look at these stats?
I think I tend to be a little obsessive on things, so I look at it daily. I would recommend looking at it at least weekly, but if you can find a way to work those numbers into your schedule on a weekly basis, that can help plan for next week. And if you can get ahead by a week, maybe you get ahead by 2 weeks, and then you're a month ahead, and you can
Sure.
already start to build that buffer where you're not panicking and trying to plan out, okay, do we have enough coaches for tomorrow? Or
Yeah.
did we get enough trial conversions by the end of today to make payroll by the end of the week?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
I think
Oh,
as forward thinking as you can be is helpful.
no, absolutely. And look, guys, the power of stats and these numbers and understanding these KPIs is taking you from sitting in a reactive seat into your business to now you're being proactive in your business. And like you said, it's like there are cycles to these things, and you can learn to start to predict what the cycle is going to be. I tell people, like, I would be running these stats every single day. It's like you say that you're obsessive, and it's like that's really what it takes, I think, because every small number is going to add up at the end of the month, right? And we kind of work on this business that it's like a monthly counter, right? So it's like you get to the end of the month, this month's over, right? Next month starts again, and we start back at zero, right? And then we got to build back up from there. And a lot of times people only look at their stats on a monthly basis. But if you run your stats at the end of the month's already gone. There's nothing you could do about it. You already made all the mistakes. You already didn't talk to those trials or didn't follow up or whatever it is, right? And now there's nothing you can do about it, right? So if you're able to shift from being reactive in your business to proactive in your business by looking at these numbers every single day, and seeing how that every tiny little number is going to add up to what you get at the end of the month, you're not going to be guessing. Am I going to make rent? Am I going to make payroll? Like, you're going to know by the end of that day exactly what the gap is that you need to fill. And this can be super empowering for a business owner. It was empowering for me as a gym owner to finally feel like I knew what was going on with my business and I wasn't just guessing or reacting or moving off of how I felt about it.
And one other tip that I have realized, and some gym clubs might not understand, is you can't compare the previous month to next month
Mm,
because July enrollment is going to look totally different than August enrollment.
yeah.
What it takes is building all of those numbers up over years and saying, okay, what did last July look like? Or what did 4 Julys look like ago? Because recessions or spikes, different economic cycles play a part into your enrollment. If, for example, during an election year, our enrollment tends to be lighter.
Yep.
So
Yep.
when we can plan, okay, so the last election was this date. So what does July look like in that year? Now we can correlate the two together.
Yeah, that's I laughed when you said that because that was like such a massive lesson for me. My business partner in my gym at the time, and he said, an election year is coming up. What is that going to do to your business? And I had no perception
Yeah.
of this. And what I was like, what does that even mean? I was like, I don't know. And let alone that was 2020, which was quite an interesting election year
Yeah.
for lots of different reasons. So that like totally changed my business in all kinds of different ways.
You can
But
also start to, oh, sorry.
no, go for it, go for it.
I was gonna say you can also start to analyze industry shifts. We've always preached about the Olympic bump, but over the past couple of years, since COVID, really, the Olympic bump's been a little less every year, at least in our area. It could be different in other demographics, but what I've seen is a lot of gyms were a little disappointed in how little the Olympic bump played a part in their enrollment. And if, first of all, don't rely on the Olympic bump to build your business around, but you can start to analyze, okay, why is this happening? What generation of families are coming up? What does our area look like? What are the demographics in our area? Those types of things.
Sure. And those things can make shifts in your marketing and the language and the person that you're speaking to, right? Like all of those things. First, it becomes needing the awareness, which is knowing the numbers, tracking the numbers. We call it doing the daily reps to get there. And you make an interesting point that also took me a while to understand that like certain numbers need to be looked at over time, right? So it's like attrition rates, the amount of kids that are exiting your business. If you make some changes in your business to try to help your retention and you only look at just that 1 month window, it's like you're not going to see the fruits of your labor for another 2 or 3, maybe even 4 months, right? So
Yeah.
it's like this is a number that needs to be looked at a 6 month basis instead of just a snapshot of a single month. And if you're not really in tune with these numbers or don't fully understand this, you can look at your attrition rate and be like, I did all these things to keep my retention high. And you just feel like your effort is wasted when really you just have to zoom out a little bit and look at the number as a 6 month block instead of just looking at that last 30 days.
And as an example, I was on a webinar talking about using your numbers to make marketing decisions.
Yeah.
And that enrollment numbers and your overall numbers are going to play a part into everything. And if you're not good at marketing, start with numbers. Learn the statistics behind your business because how many of your families drop in the summer and come back in the fall? And then are you able to pull those families and send them a specific email like, hey, school's back. Here's some of our offerings in the fall, and we can't wait to see you again.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it takes multiple touch points for families to react. And if you know that, okay, this family typically drops in March, April, May, and they come back in July, they haven't come back in July yet, we should probably reach out. So building those types of systems too help a lot.
Yeah, sure. And just like cost per acquisition, right? If you can know how much it costs for you to actually acquire a client, you can actually understand how much money you need to spend on your Facebook ads or your marketing or whatever kind of channel you're doing, right? And I could talk numbers all day long because I just think that this is such an important topic for gym owners and people who are running their businesses to understand. Are you going to be teaching on this at all during the Ninja Connect event?
Yes, I have two talks scheduled. One's actually in conjunction. I'm going to run it as a moderated discussion where I'm going to pose some questions to iClass talking about enrollment numbers and enrollment trends. That way, the Sam from iClass can actually give specific details about how iClass can help with that. And we use iClass, so it's easy for me to understand in those terms.
Yeah.
And then our financial controller is going to also talk about financial KPIs and how to relate the enrollment numbers with your business financials.
Yeah, awesome. You mentioned that this event is for both beginners, people who are starting ninja programs, and advanced program leaders. So, what do you think each group should expect, and what are you hoping that they walk away with?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Hmm.
I really built it around if I got the opportunity to go to a ninja conference, what would I want to be in? What would the itinerary look like for me?
Yeah.
And it's really just, I'd love for everyone to walk out of there with applicable, I can do this right now, tomorrow. But then also a bigger thought of what's my end goal? What's my 3 year strategy? What do I want down the road? So being able to have some short term, quick action things, but then also having a greater sense of where's the program going to go? Where's the company? Where's the business going to go in the future? And then just a little bit of an appreciation for what we do because we are building the sport from the ground up, and that's not an easy task.
No.
And I've had a lot of families that their kids would not have played athletics if it wasn't for ninja. And I think it's easy to forget that our job's working with kids. We get to, or at least our job, my job here is working with kids. Some people do adult programs, and your job's to inspire and impact other people's lives in a positive way. And sometimes it's really easy to get wrapped up in all that negativity or that reactive kind of business leader type situation. But I think being able to say I'm a professional ninja coach makes it worth it.
Yeah, isn't that such a cool title? I always felt that way from becoming a ninja coach. It's like, how cool is it that I get to do this for work? And it's
I
like,
love when people ask me, "What do you do for your job?" I coach ninja. They're like, "What in the world is that?"
yeah, it's always a good conversation starter. How do you hope this event will shift the trajectory of somebody's ninja program?
As a whole, I think if the industry is going to continue going further, there's got to be levels of not just intentionality, because that's the easy one to say, but just a sense of professionalism in every program where a family can walk into this brand new ninja gym and feel like, okay, this is an actual sport. There are these coaches seem to know what's going on. So I think for the greater purpose of everything, the greater sense of good, I'd love for every gym club owner to just walk away with a sense of, okay, here's how we run Ninja. And maybe it's not the way I run Ninja or the way you run Ninja, but it's just they have a sense of intentionality and professionalism about it. And I'd love for every gym club to walk away with, okay, here's what we're going to do. I want to show the way that we do it here, which is a love for our clientele, a love for our families, a love that continuous sense of what comes next. How do we grow? Where are we growing? And I think we've shifted in a way you'll be able to hear me talk about like the shift that we've had with our lesson planning and the shift that we've had with marketing and my own shift in terms of my leadership style and just be able to see that the sport is just of constant growth and sometimes failure and learning from your mistakes and always trying to be better than you were last week or yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like that is the essence of ninja, right? Is like failing forwards because it's not easy. And every dad who comes to a birthday party thinking that they can run the wall or they can do that, trust me, it's a lot harder than you think. And it because it is so challenging, it really forces this culture of you have to fail to get it, right? Like I'm not really naturally athletic, even in ninja after doing it for years myself, where it's like I still take 10 tries to do something and I might as well be called the 10 try ninja because that's what it is for me. But you have to learn how to fail forwards. And I think that this mindset, it transcends the gym, it transcends the obstacles in the programming, especially when it comes to being an entrepreneur and being a business owner. It's hard. And you have to fail forwards to be able to get there. And even if there are maybe some uncoverings of some of your failings when you come to this event, I think that there's still so much to gain from that, right? Like it's not necessarily a failure, but it's a lesson. And how do we take this and continue forwards with it?
That's a good point. With the sport as an athlete
Yeah.
and as a coach and as a business owner, there's no person who's been in the industry for 30 years. Maybe there is. We're all learning
Yeah.
as we go because there's very little historical evidence to base what we're doing off of. Even the sport itself, there's some obstacles that at high level from the show competitors have never done before. And they've got to fail it a couple of times and train it and then relearn it. And we have to do the same thing as business owners because it's such a unique industry that there's no really history behind it.
Yeah. Yeah. We're really only like maybe 15, 20 years in on this whole thing. And that's part of what I really love about it is because it's, like you said, it's building the sport from brick by brick and from the ground up. And things like Ninja Connect, I think, are going to be pivotal to helping people get more resources, have more of these that have worked for the people in the past that are doing this, that are in the trenches and running the programs. So,
Yeah, I would love to see more events like this pop up, even if it's not at Kids First. I think it's just much needed in the industry, regardless of who's running it. But I just think overall the industry just needs a little bit more just education and just connection.
absolutely. I am super excited to be at Ninja Connect. And if you guys want to come hang out with us, spend a couple days in Cincinnati, Ohio, here at the end of August, there are a couple ways that you can get involved. So, Reese, will you tell us about tickets? What does it cost? What do you get with that?
Yeah, I think we were just throwing out pricing ideas. It's our first year doing it, so we're just trying to cover some costs and we're providing lunch and dinner the first night. as well as lunch. And I believe there's a dinner the second night. We're also doing transportation to and from the first night's dinner, so that's fun. And it's 349, I believe, per person. You get 2 full days of 8 to 5 sessions, and you'll see us run a mock competition, which I'm excited for. Our team kids are really excited for. And you'll be able to hear a roundtable discussion from some of the presenters. And then on day 3, you'll be able to stay for the level 1 ninja certification from World Ninja Sport.
There are still spots available, hopefully by the time that you hear this podcast. So all the information will be in the link that you guys can check out. And so, Reese, let's end with this. What does ninja mean to you?
Oh, that's a great question. I think ninja just means constant growth and constant learning, really. It's just always trying to be better than you were yesterday and learning through failure and knowing that it's all about your performance and not anyone else's. It's not how you do compared to others, it's how you do compared to who you were.
Yeah. Love it. So, how can people get connected with you about Ninja Connect or Queen City Ninja in general?
You can go to our website, kidsfirstsports.com, or you can just shoot me a direct email. It's rohara@kidsfirstsports.com. I, you can call. Our front desk can direct you to me. I'm pretty accessible.
Reese, thank you so much for coming on, chatting with us today, and sharing some of your insights. I can't wait to be with you in a couple weeks at Ninja Connect.